The game that shouldn't have happened, in a place where everyone was supposed to die. History is full of legends, but some stories are so crazy they sound like fiction. In the winter of 1914, the world was trapped in the big league of human suffering. A global war that was supposed to be over in weeks had turned into a frozen nightmare. But for one afternoon, the most dangerous place on Earth became a football pitch. This isn't just a war story. This is the day humanity won. To understand the miracle, you have to understand the misery. By December, the home by Christmas promise was a lie. Soldiers weren't in beds, they were in trenches. Imagine a 6-foot-deep ditch filled with icy water, rats the size of cats, and the constant metallic stench of blood and cordite. Between the British and German lines lay no man's land, a graveyard of mud and barbed wire. If you showed your head for a second, a sniper would take it off. This was the routine. Kill or be killed. There was no room for mercy, until the frost hit. Christmas Eve, 1914. A brutal cold snapped across Belgium. The mud turned to stone. The soldiers were shivering, thinking of their families. And then, the British saw something that made them rub their eyes. On the German side, small lights started appearing, not muzzle flashes, candles. The Germans were placing Christmas trees, Tannenbaums, on the edge of their trenches. Then a sound drifted across the frozen air. A voice singing, Stille Nacht. The British didn't shoot. Instead, they sang back. They started a big league sing-off in the middle of a war zone. From the darkness, a German soldier shouted in perfect English, "You no shoot, we no shoot." It was the ultimate gamble. One man stood up, then 10, then hundreds. They walked into the center of no man's land. These men were supposed to be monsters to each other. But as they met in the middle, they realized they were just boys. They shook hands. They swapped cigarettes. They showed each other photos of their wives. One British soldier even gave a German barber a haircut right there in the mud. For a few hours, the war didn't exist. They weren't soldiers. They were just men who were tired of the killing. But they needed something to do with all that nervous energy, and that's when someone brought out the ball. It wasn't a professional pitch. There were no lights, no grass, and no jerseys. Some say it was a real leather ball. Others say it was a sandbag tied with string, but it didn't matter. They used helmets for goalposts, the 133rd Royal Saxon Regiment against the Scottish Seaforth Highlanders. Can you imagine the intensity? These guys were literally playing for their lives. There was no referee. If someone got tripped, they helped them up. The diaries of the German soldiers say they won 3-2. The British claimed it was a draw, but in that mud, the sport of football did what no politician could. It turned enemies into teammates. For 90 minutes, the only thing that mattered was the next goal. It remains the most big league match ever played because the stakes were literally life and death. But the big league bosses back in the offices, the generals, were watching, and they were terrified. To them, this truce was treason. If the soldiers became friends, who would fire the guns? General Sir Horace Smith-Dorrien issued an immediate order. Fraternization will lead to court-martial. They didn't want the world to know that the monsters on the other side were actually just humans who liked football. They ordered artillery to fire on the trenches to break the peace. They forced the soldiers back into the mud, and by the next morning, the snipers were back at their scopes. The dream was over. The 1914 Christmas truce was never allowed to happen again. The war lasted 4 more years and claimed millions of lives. But for one day, football proved that even in the darkest hole in history, the human spirit can't be broken. It's a reminder that we are all playing in the same league. If you want more unbelievable stories, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one.